other families that are representing their loved ones, but we are a group that believes in that higher power, and we don't judge or what you choose or how you choose to, or even if you don't. But we just believe that there's a higher power behind us that is going to push us, whether just a spiritual being, And so we're going to start this off in prayer, and then we will go into our event and why we are here today. Thank you all for being here from the bottom of our hearts, and thank you for all of the support that you give to our family.
Hello, everybody. My name is Delshia Perry, and I'm the mother of Hardell Cheryl, as Tashir told you, and I'm also the founder of Be Their Voices, and we've got to get it in because we know that police violence is just one level of corruptness and racism that runs through deep here in Minnesota, but it runs in the jails. And if you don't know my son's story, I would suggest you look it up. So I'm going to just go ahead and start us in prayer, and then I'm going to give the mic back to Tashira. Dear Heavenly Father, we come humbly before your throne. We give you all praise and all glory. Father God, you said in everything give thanks, Lord God, even when we don't understand it. Father God, we know that you are in control because you sit high and you look low. And we know you have the final say. You are the judge of all judges. Just as justice prevailed in George Floyd's case, we know that justice will prevail in our cases. Father God, we come to you. We cry out to you because we know that you are the only one that can do something about this situation. You can turn it around, Father God. Father God, we put our trust in you and you alone. Father God, we ask you to come today and put a hedge of protection around each and every one of our families here today. Father God, I ask you that your will, not our will, but that your will be done on today. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. We also have the mother of Cordell Handy, Kim Handy Jones, that just showed up. So she'll be coming over here with us. Come on over, Miss Kim. But the reason that we are all meeting here today because we wanted to wrap this week up. As you all know, we had the verdict of George Floyd, of Derek Chauvin. We had the verdict of Derek Chauvin coming in. And we also had Dante Wright's funeral this week. And one thing that I want to emphasize on is that we understand the cases that made it to the public eye. But we want you guys to continuously amplify the stories that they work strategically to cover up, that they work strategically to sweep under the rug. Because our loved one's life is no more than George Floyd. And George Floyd's life is no more than our loved ones' lives. Every life, every single life that they have stolen from us unjustly at the hands of this corrupted system deserves support, deserves acknowledgement. The mothers deserve this. And so we need each name every single time to be rose up and to be supported. So the reason for today is to say justice for all stolen lives. For all stolen lives. For all stolen lives. Whether they have tried because they believe and they think that they got away with something with the rest of our cases, but they have not, and they will not. And we will continue to fight in solidarity. We will continue to fight together as families for the truth and the justice for all of our families. And another reason why we're sitting out here today, because this man, Governor Tim Walz, comes out to Dante's funeral, speaks at his funeral, and these other politicians come and speak and surround it. They didn't even deserve around that boy's casket.
That is right.
But these are the same people that we have been begging for changes. But when it's a high-profile case where the media is watching, they want to act like they've been doing something when they've only been giving us lip service. So the rest of our families have been pleading with them to do something to make a change. Because if they would have listened to our families, the other families that people don't know about, if they would have listened to the cries and the asks of Kim Annie Jones, if they would have listened to Delshia Perry, if they would have listened to Kobe Heiser, Mom Amnesty Bennett, if they would have listened to me fighting for Justice Titan, if they would have listened to all of our families, of Paul Castaway's brother, Gabe and Tonya, if they would have listened to our families, the families that they tried to sweep under the rug, there would not be a George Floyd. There would not be a Dante Wright. You would have to be a Dante Wright funeral if you listen to the cries of the families that were already out here fighting. So we had to wrap this week up. Our families had to be the ones out here to wrap up this week. And that is why we are sitting out here today in solidarity as the family that lost our loved ones at the hands of law enforcement, and they thought they were going to cover it up. But we refused to let that happen. So thank you for being out here to stand in solidarity with us. And I'm going to let the mothers speak now. Thank you all. Okay, and first, we're going to introduce Amnesty Demick. Amnesty Demick is the mother of Kobe Heiser, who was killed in Brooklyn Center months before Dante Wright was killed in Brooklyn Center. The same officer is involved in her son's murder here in Minnesota, but they choose to publicize one and cover up another. So this is the mother of Kobe Heiser.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Is this working? As she said, my name is Amnesty Demick. I'm the mother of Kobe Heiser. Kobe Heiser was the most beautiful person that you all will not be able to meet because officers Brandon Akers and Kobe Turner of the Brooklyn Center took it upon themselves to deal with a mental health situation by murdering my son in his own home in front of his grandmother. And then just to top it off, they left him laying on the ground for so long like they like to. So he couldn't donate his organs either, none of them, his eyes or his skin, which can happen hours into it. George Floyd got murdered. We came home and we fought. Before that happened, there was nothing I could do because when they killed her son, he was now lay there in bed for months. Once Dante Wright got murdered on Sunday, I wake up on Monday to a post from Ben Crump, civil rights attorney Ben Crump, talking about my son. And this woman, Kim Potter, who, by the way, I call Karen. Just makes me laugh. So Karen Potter, I find out, and I saw her, but I didn't realize there was anything wrong. She was the response, she was the commanding officer on my son's murder case. So she's the officer who comes in and is supposed to control the situation. Apparently she told the officers involved to go to their cars and not talk to anybody, which is correct. But then I find out from Ben Crump, she tells them to turn off their body cam videos, which would be indicative of attempting to cover something up. We should know what their reaction is afterwards. We should know if they called somebody, and I should know what happened in the car when they went to the car.
Somebody say that ain't right.
That ain't right.
I find out then from Sean King, the news personality, the next day that they saw that, and apparently she got reprimanded for that. But let's think for a minute. What was her whole history, which we're trying to find out? Maybe she should have been taken off of her duty. Maybe she should have been fired at that point. And just maybe, Dante Wright would be alive now. A lot of us in these movements have these, all of us who are trying to pass legislation, like when my son was murdered, I had two of the autism activists come and tell me that they felt responsible, that they carried the burden of my son's murder because they couldn't get people like Governor Walz and all of our other elected officials to do what we've been asking them to do for years. And she said if we just would have been able to get those bills passed, your son would be alive. You know, and that ain't right. And I now find myself in that position. If we could have caught Kim Potter back then, maybe Dante would be alive. So just as far as my case goes, because it's like in the news now, connected to the Dante Wright. The things that I just need you to know right now is every person in the two departments that dealt with my son's case have been deemed incapable. Hennepin County District Attorney Mike Freeman taken off of the George Floyd case for the sloppiness. How could he have been sloppy in George Floyd? And I know for a fact that Kobe's case, Travis Jordan's case, and Brian Quinones' case were sitting there all at the same time. So as far as I'm concerned, that's an automatic. We got a redo. But then you throw in Brooklyn Center for me. City manager Kurt Boganey fired by the city council. Chief Gannon, Chief Tim Gannon. Trying to submit his resignation to avoid accountability.
That's right.
And then Kim Potter, the commanding officer on her scene, charged for Dante's murder. So on those facts alone, my son's case deserves to be reopened. All the cases deserve to be reopened. That's an easy peasy for anybody even with an argument to say that that was not fair, and it's not possible that he got a fair look at the case, because every single highest up person involved in reviewing that case has been deemed incapable. So I am actually calling to the Department of Justice to open up cases in my son's case, and also all the other cases, and all the metro departments, not just the Minnesota departments, police department.
That's right.
What, we're gonna leave out St. Paul? No. Weapons Center? No. Justice for Kobe and autism is not a crime.
Thank you, everyone. Next, we're going to call up Ardell Cheryl's mother, Delcia Perry. Thank you, Tashina. You know, usually I'm pretty nice. Governor Tim Walz, surely I did. The mayor, and everybody else that I knew to call, because when you are a mother who lost their only child, you're going to do everything you know to do to get some kind of justice. Because we know the real justice would be that Ardell should be standing right here next to me. What Ardell suffered from was treatable. He should have gone into the hospital, stayed in the hospital, diagnosed him with whatever he had, and then let him go and do his time. Because my son wasn't trying to get out of serving his time to do and pay his debt to society. He was willing to do that. But my baby was not an animal. He was not a monster. And I'm going to say this. If Ardell don't get it,
Shut it down.
shut it down. If Ardell don't get it,
Shut it down.
if Ardell don't get it,
Shut it down.
Governor Tim Walz, I called you about a month ago because I'm my only child. Because I got to be out here in the streets. I got to be out here and supporting my brothers and sisters in this fight. This fight is not fun. I don't want it on anybody. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. But while y'all are out here and all these cameras are out here, I need y'all to lift up my baby's name, because a lot of people don't even know Ardell Cheryl. I don't know if it's because they want to keep hiding it, they want to keep putting it under the rug, but y'all need to say my baby's name. Ardell Cheryl.
Ardell Cheryl.
Ardell Cheryl.
Ardell Cheryl.
Thank you. Peace.
Shut it down.
So I'm here to tell you about the real story because everybody deserves where they're going at. That's clear. Because no matter what people see and what they hear, even though you see the cruel, horrific execution of George Floyd, white people still, even in the city, want to believe that he did something to deserve it. It's a cruel, cruel-minded person that would think George Floyd, Hardell Sherrill, Justin Tigan, Bilal Eve, Travis Jordan, Jaffrey Smith, Demetrius Hill, Marcus Golden, Paul Castaway, Billy Hughes, Kumi Lee, Matt Kung, Terrence Franklin, Sandra Bland, Breonna Taylor, Ma'Khia Bryant would ever deserve an execution. It's ridiculous. And then you got hypocrite motherfuckers. They will have the fucking gall and capacity to go to the funeral of Dante Wright. And act like Black Lives Matter. If Black Lives Matter then done it, how did Derek Chauvin get away with all those murders? If Black Lives Matter. Then you had the capacity to have a training police.
That's right.
He's out there at the George Floyd Square today showing his natural racist white ass to those other cops that were new, showing them how you kill black, brown, and indigenous lives. Kim Carter, I'm sorry she forgot my fucking name. I'm pissed. I'm pissed to the fucking max. You know a taser from a damn gun. You ain't confused. And another one, training officers how to murder and kill black and brown and indigenous bodies. Fuck you gonna pull out a damn gun, holler, taser. Oh fuck, I shot her. Oh fuck, you killed her. You did more than shot them. Now his kid got to grow up without his father. And then white terrorists have the nerve to make fun of them because they don't have fathers. But you are the very ones that are taking their lives. And Amy Klobuchar.
Ooh, I can't stand her ass.
Amy Klobuchar.
That's the whole reason my homeboy
And I'm going to need you to find that motherfucker. I'm going to need you to find it. I ain't in a good place today. I ain't been in a good place in a long time. I wasn't born in a good place. You will get up there and give a speech. A speech about what? Oh, how you gonna make Black Lives Matter? If Black Lives Matter, then why did Mayan Burrell do 18 years of his life?
That's right.
If Black Lives Matter. That would be a shame to come to that funeral
right.
and put on that shit show. Because that's what it was. It was a shit show at best. But I'm going to tell you, to have platforms that you ain't did nothing to deserve to have. The last thing I remember, when she takes platforms and takes a mic, she wants to run for president. She wants to send black people to jail. She wants to give them life. And this one here, Tim Walsh, with your safety net. That was safety net. When people think about safety nets, when you say safe to me, that means being out of harm's way.
That's right.
He puts black people and brown people in even more harm's way.
Yeah, come on.
And all we want to do is fight for justice, fight for quality. Because the same Christ that laid and died on the cross for them did the same for us. But mothers, I'm going to say to you, ain't no justice like God's justice. None. And you know what? I can honestly say, you don't have to worry about this anxiety, the Lowry. You don't have to worry about Kobe High School. You don't have to worry about Travis Jordan or Castaway. See it alone. Because that's one of the 10 commandments. Thou shalt not commit murder. I'm sick and tired of you fucked up ass legislators. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick and tired of motherfuckers filling up seats that their asses don't deserve. We gonna walk his ass right on by these motherfuckers. Sitting up there with them fucking damn smiles on your damn face. Over that young man's body. That Amy, that Tim Waltz, that these deadly police forces enforce upon us, on our bodies. I'm pissed off. I'm mad at the motherfucker. And I'm letting you know right now. I keep saying this to white people, if this is not for you, please walk the fuck off. Please don't fuck with me. Don't ask me nothing stupid. Don't say nothing motherfucking stupid. And damn sure don't do nothing stupid. I'm telling you. Because till you go home and the void that we feel, when you go home and if you have this certain circumstance as our families, then you'll never understand. I don't expect white people to understand what we go through. But I do expect you to get an education about it. Yep. And that's one of the dumbest things in the world to me. You're going to be doctors, lawyers, you be fucked up ass governors and shit. You'll be all that. But when it comes to black, brown, and indigenous bodies, you have no education. Yeah. None. Some of the most uneducated people I know. And then walk around, you don't have white privilege. What the fuck you got? You think I got it? Did Cordell have it? No. Because if Cordell had white privilege, he'd still be here with me. Yep. I don't look at white people and decide, oh, I hate you. You're white. You're racist. You know, if that's your circumstance. You know, I don't appeal to white people like that. People are people, and that's just how I look at it. But don't come to me with your Karen and Beckons and your Tim Walters. Don't come to me with that bullshit. Because I'm that unapologetic black woman, black mother, that'll get your ass up off me by any means necessary. Yes. And don't ever let me see you accosting our black kids. That ain't going either. Because the spirit of Cordell will come back and keep you with your motherfucking ass. The spirit of all our children. I'm gonna fuck something up. And I'm telling you. And this ain't coming from a place of being nasty. It ain't coming from a place of hate. It's coming up from a place of being real. Because this is my reality. Police brutality. Yep. And if you don't like it, then that's too damn bad, and fuck you too. Yeah. Fuck you too. Amy Klobuchar, you're responsible too for Hardell Sherrell's death.
Yeah. Went to her office, she didn't do nothing about it.
You're responsible too. Because instead of people opening their mouths and being a part of the solution, they'd rather sit back on their ass, collect their check, and be a big fucking problem. I don't even know how some of them go home and feed their kids off the paychecks they collect. Right. How do you? Knowing that your ways and your actions are responsible for all our children's death in one way or another. My Uncle Real brother, wherever you at out here in Minnesota and the world, I'm glad you made it. I'm so glad you made it. It's by God's grace that you made it. Let me tell you, it wasn't by none of these demonic ass spirits. And I know that our spirits shake their demon. I hope my spirit and Cordell's spirit and all these people that have lost loved ones, spirit moving furniture around. That motherfucker. I hope pictures is falling off the wall. I can look at you say, you can't wish nothing good for a motherfucker that's been dead. You just can't. And let me just say something to the media. I really don't do a lot of media. It's a reason why. Because instead of you all telling our truth, you always have to mix up the police narrative. Align them and insert them in our sons and daughters. That's not right. Somebody said that's not right.
It's not right. Right. Tell the
So
truth.
just say to the media today, do me a favor. You want to tell I love her story. Tell our truth. Because see, I raised Greg. I had him. I know his son, but love the child. Every last one of these families here, you know the loving children that they had, the loving fiancés that they had. When you were to tell our story, tell our truth. And I'm asking you, is it not enough that the police have executed our children and our fiancés took from us? And then you want to murder and integrity and their character. And then our sons and daughters and mothers and fathers and families have to see that. Now, I'm really coming from a humble place. And I'm asking you to tell the truth. Because I can promise you this. If God sits up and get down low, mess will remain. You know what's up there? I will bring everything shaken and moving from Chicago here, along with Minnesota. It's not a plan, it's a promise. Because I promised God when I had faith that I would take care of him, that I would love him, and that I would be the mother that he made me be, that I would provide, as the rest of these families did. Please, tell our truth. Please don't do that to our kids. Don't do that to our fiancés. Don't do that. The way you all did allow each family come up in this the Eaton house and the White House and just have no compassion. And that's what kids in there watching and looking. And I know that the little ones are devastated for the rest of their natural born lives. Then you got the amateur chief police who represent that said to the people standing there in the press conference, what are we going to do with this? Since you the chief, what do you plan on doing different? What do you think about Dante Wright's killing? He says, oh, just like I did not know my name. I didn't prepare a speech. That's some inhumane shit, people. Because I can promise you, before my son was executed, you see things like that, you read them. You need to tell no speech. I mean, I don't need to write down nothing. It's just being human, having humanity. Who needs to write a speech when we're losing our kids out here?
Come on. Right.
Who needs a speech? And who needs to know that you know I can't wrap your mind around it? Because you won't give a fuck. You was more concerned about Kim Potter resigning, which we're calling for her termination. We're calling for her termination. You were more concerned about her resigning. You were more concerned about the chief resigning, the city manager being fired. Fuck you concerned about them for? All three of them got a breath. They get to breathe every day, but they don't.
No.
They mad about that shit. Well, I'm not gonna say to every last one of these police departments, you put Derek Chauvin, you know, Kim Potter, all the dead murderous asses in the position that they in. Because you didn't want to cross that thin blue line.
Right.
But you also sent them back out the door to keep killing, killing, and killing again.
Yep.
So, I felt like he felt Dante right to certain things because he could speak to it from the human perspective. Right speech. Well, I wrote one, and I wrote it in my head. You go home, you wrap your arms around your daughters and sons, and your mothers and fathers, and your wives, and you got one down, so you're married dead, oh, that's whatever. They go home and just love them, they family. That's a portion that was taken from us. Then you can't wrap your mind around the fact that Dante Wright is dead. Because you didn't give a damn. You didn't care. So what I'm going to say to these murderous policemen and police women, I don't like this woman having my name. I was here first. God knows I was in the old. And she got pretty much all my name. I'm Kimberly Diane, and she's Kimberly again. So you can imagine how I feel. Now every time somebody said kill, I'm looking around like this, and I ain't heard nobody. People, I just want to say, when you see people like myself and Sharon, Emily, and you see Marilyn Hill, and I know Matilda Smith is out here clearing things, and you see people like Paul passed away, and Tonya, his lovely, beautiful wife, and then then I just want to say, when we out here fighting, we need to fight for ours. I don't have a selfish. We fight for yours too. We fight for children living and dead. Living and dead. And stop and think before you go to tell our loved ones' names. Or stories, I'm sorry, and say their names. Make sure you say it with compassion. Make sure you be empathetic. And not, don't say their names. Because best believe our pieces are going to be around, we're going to always say their names. And we're going to always stand up for the stolen lives and lives that are still here. Basically, in one nutshell, all I'm saying is, don't throw fucking rocks and have your hands, because we see you. We see you. Don't do that to us. And white people, I'll say this, I can thank you, and be sincere, and this is what you really need and want to do. But please, I'm begging you, when you appeal to people in terms, have some common sense. Have some common sense. And common sense don't always come. You know, some people's sense ain't common and it don't always come when it needs to. But we appreciate your person ground. And when I fight, when they fight, we fight for your kids too. You think it makes us feel good to see black kids lose their lives on these streets. It don't. Because we're mothers. We're fiancés. And what it does is traumatizes every time. Every time. So, Minnesota, stand up, stand strong, and more importantly, stand together. And please, quit shoving your knees on my fucking necks. Fuck Tim Walks, fuck you to the 10th degree, and fuck every motherfucker just like you. I give no fucks like you don't, like Tim Walks. And of course, y'all, fuck your red black ass too.
A lot more reconciling to do, not the media eye.
So, here's what we're gonna do. Boots hit the floor and they rolling out the door. I can't get nothing that from sitting around. I gotta put my boots, I gotta put them on the ground. One foot up, One foot down, put them both together, got boots on the ground. Okay, not for the fortune, not for the fame. Standing here today, and we calling them names. Put one up, put one down. You put them both together, got boots on the ground. Boots, boots, boots on the ground. You do. Hold the fuck up. Y'all ain't shut shit down. Y'all shut the fuck down. Don't fucking play with boots on the ground, damn it. Now let's get it. And if I stop this mic again, I'm gonna punch somebody's damn throat. I love you all. Let's get it, y'all. I love each and every last one of y'all. Come on. Not for the fortune, not for the fame. Standing here today and saying some names. One foot up, one foot down. Put them both together, got boots on the ground. Get it. Boots, boots, boots on the ground. We're here to shut the shit down. Boots, boots, boots on the ground. We're here to shut the shit down. Boots, boots, boots on the ground. We're here to shut the shit down. Remix. Boots, boots, boots on the ground. We're here to shut the shit down. Boots, boots, boots on the ground. We're here to shut the shit down. Boots, boots, boots on the ground. We're here to shut the shit down. I love you.
And I just want you guys to take a look. So we're not just going to yell George Floyd. We're not just going to yell Dante Wright. We're going to yell the Marquis. We're going to yell Pretty on Women. We're going to yell Mardell Sherrill. We're going to yell Nas Power. We're going to yell Demetrius Hill. We're going to yell Trevor Smith. We're going to yell Kobe Heisler. We're going to yell Oscar Grant. We're going to yell Charlie Short. We're going to yell Paul Castro. We're not going to just yell the names that we've heard about in the media, because this is what everybody has to understand. When you only yell the names that are in the media, that's almost like isolating stories.
That's right.
That makes the world believe that this is not a severe problem as it really is. You have to say the names of the people that have been swept under the rug. You have to say the names of the stories that's been covered up. That is the only way to show the severity and the truth about what's really going on around the United States and here in the state of Minnesota. There's been so many murders and so many cover-ups. Justice Biden was the epitome of a cover-up. Demetrius Hill and all of these murders were the epitome of cover-up. Kobe Heisler, all of our families here today, you have to get to know our families. Get to know our loved ones' names. So you can say their names when you're out in the street. Because there are hundreds of murders that led up to George Floyd and Dante Wright. And those families deserve just as much support. So now we're going to have the family of Paul Castaway, his brother, who is here, and he came from Colorado to fight for his brother and his wife, Tony.
Good afternoon. My name is Gabriel Blacko. I am one of the lead organizers of Native Lives Matter. I'm also part of the Families United for Justice with Uncle Bobby here. And I just wanted to give just touch real quick about my brother. My brother was murdered by Denver police officer Jerry Fuck 12 Lara and Michael Fuck 12 Trout. My brother was having a mental health issue. And just like Amity said, autism is not a crime. Or having mental health issues is not a crime either. My brother was calling out for help. My brother held a kitchen knife with both hands to his neck as the police shot and killed him in front of 3 adults and 18 kids. So I just want to give a shout out to everybody in this crowd for coming out. That means a lot to us justice families. That means a lot. That means that someone cares. Because there comes a time after our incidents happen and we feel like we're alone. We feel like nobody cares. And then we come out to marches and rallies and we see people like this, man, that feels good. That lets us know that change needs to happen. It needs to happen somehow. If it's getting people in the offices, then so be it. If it takes for us marching these streets, then so be it. But I just want to give a shout out to you guys and let you guys know that you guys being out here means a lot to us. It means a lot.
Got your back?
And we got your back too.
No, you need to say I am your back.
Yeah.
I definitely do.
Yeah, so I just want to give a shout out to you guys. Thank you guys for allowing me to speak. And I just want to let you guys know that, for us justice families, that it helps. Even if you guys are just sharing stories on social media, that helps. That lets us know that our family's names is being said, that our families ain't being swept under the rug. So these last couple months, we've been seeing all these OISs all over the damn country. Another name that I want to bring up so nobody doesn't forget is Jacob Wood. Jacob Wood was a Native man who was killed 9 days ago. And he was having a mental health issue, cutting himself. And the police decided to shoot and kill him. One of our own police people. So that's another name I want you guys to remember while you guys out there shouting names. Justice for Jacob Wood!
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 And fuck 12!
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 Just before I get off the mic, I just want to let you guys know, man, as far as being a justice member, man, that feels good to yell at the police. It feels good to scream at these motherfuckers and let them know how you feel. That feels good to me. That's a couple more steps into healing my process. To look at a college and scream at them, fuck you. Fuck 12. You motherfuckers killed my brother. Fuck you.
That's right.
That helps me. I don't do too good on the microphone because I got a lot of shit going on in my head and I can't say it all. But I just wanted to educate you guys on what we're feeling out here. When we're out there screaming at the cops, fuck the police, fuck 12, fuck you motherfuckers. We mean that shit. We mean that shit to our fucking bone. Fuck 12. Fuck 12. Thank you guys for allowing me to speak. Thank you.
So whether you had on a regular outfit or a Ku Klux Klan sheets, the white that they had on, or whether you had on a police uniform or a correctional officer in a jail uniform, a lynching is a lynching. Okay? Mistreatment of people in the jails and not giving them adequate medical treatment that they need and deserve as a human being is a lynching. Letting somebody die on the floor with feces is a lynching. Shooting somebody with their hands up is a lynching. Beating somebody and throwing them in a dumpster is a lynching. Shooting somebody 39 to 52 times is a lynching. Shooting an 18-year-old Demetrius Hill in the back is a lynching. Okay? Travis Jordan having a mental health crisis is a lynching. And while he's in the car and they lie and they say that he shot outside the car, but we only see them shoot into the car is a lynching. Okay? Paul Castaway was a lynching.
Sasha Powell was a lynching.
Yes, all of these are lynchings, and we have to call it out for what it is. Modern day lynchings. There ain't no sugarcoating this for what it is.
Say that
And so, that is why it's important that we have a relationship with Emmett Till's family, and our groups are really closely connected because we know through history that's what's happening right now today. In these police departments, these are the Ku Klux Klan with badges on. These are the Nazis with badges on. And let's call it out for what it is. We're not saying all police are bad. I would never believe that. You guys would be shocked to believe that I have friends that are police. But right is right and wrong is wrong. And when you hurt human beings and using your power to hurt other people, you got to go. So when black lives are under attack, what do we do? What do we do? When Native lives are under attack, stand up like that. What do we do? What do we do? When Asian lives are under attack, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? When Somali lives are under attack, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Thank you. So we're going to have a few more families speak, but we want to get going on the march. We're just going to march around the governor's mansion. I'm going to have some families speak in the middle. I know it's some families that got to catch planes, so I don't want to put nobody in front of anybody, but I know it's people that got to leave out because they're catching planes back out of town. So we're going to have some more families speak once we stop in the middle of the march, or even when we come back around as well. So we're going to have Oscar Grant family speak. Thank you.
What do we want? Justice! What do we want? Justice! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! When do we want it? Now! When do we want it? Now! Thank you, Minnesota. I am affectionate of the community as Uncle Bobby. I'm the uncle of Oscar Grant. Now let me ask so that I know who I'm talking to. How many know who Oscar Grant is? Just raise your hand.
Fruitvale Station.
Okay, good. If you haven't seen the movie Fruitvale, how many of you actually seen the movie Fruitvale Station? Raise your hand. So that's the story of Oscar spending a day in his life and what happened. And so I'm just going to just step back in time 12 years ago on January 1st, 2009 in Oakland, California at the Fruitvale BART station. My nephew Oscar Grant was thrown to the ground in a prone position, 600 pounds of officer on his back. Tony Ferrani with his knee on his neck. Oscar pleaded, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. Pushing his face through the concrete platform floor, cracking the bones in his face. Tony Ferrani weighed 260 pounds. Johannes Nestle weighed 270 pounds. Johannes Nestle, as Tony Ferrani has his knee on Oscar's neck, stands up, pulls his weapon out, and shoots Oscar Cinemax in the back. For the first time, we all got to witness through cell phone what happened to Oscar that murder that night. Of course, it went viral, millions say, so we knew then that what we actually saw was the community embracing us, standing with us, crying with us, going back and forth to court with us, shouting, I am Oscar Grant, standing as you are today in support of us and our family. We got for the first time in California state history an officer arrested, charged, convicted, and sent to jail. Now let me be clear, we don't count that as a victory, but we do count it as a historical mark, because here's the sad note. Since January 1st, 2009, over 13,000 folks here in the United States have been killed by these road bad cops in this country.
Say it again.
You hear what I'm saying?
Say it again.
Over 13,000.
That many people. You're right.
13,000. Think about that. So we got work to do. Now let me ask this. How many of you were actually in the streets when Oscar was murdered? Okay. Oh, a couple. How many of you, how long have you, let me rephrase this, because this is important. You're here today with boots on the ground, being involved to bring real systemic change. The world's injustice started slow. We've been at this 12 years, and we've seen many be birthed into this movement, and they decide to step back. We have to be consistent. We have to stay in the streets, and we have to continuously shout, I am Oscar Grant. I am George Floyd. I am Dante Rank. And the many other names that we had just mentioned up here. We have to be serious about this. Some of us is going to go to jail. Let's just be honest about that. Some of us are going to have to sacrifice and go to jail. Some of us is going to get hurt. But the bottom line is that if you're not in this from the real heart about bringing about real systemic change, I want you to think about this. This is not about us. It is about these babies we see coming behind us. If we fail to stand today, it'll be their demise tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? It'll be their demise tomorrow. And if we do think it's bad today, wait till tomorrow. So it's important that we don't let it come knock at our door just to get us involved. All of us are now required to share with our best friends, our family, to motivate others about real systemic change has to happen, or what we're going to say is an implosion within this United States. That's the reality we're facing. That's the reality we're facing. So let's be serious about this. Let's make sure Minnesota, we take our hats off. We thank you for being in these streets. We thank you for being in this nation and bringing about real systemic change. And whenever you make the call, we're on the West Coast in California and places like LA, Oakland, San Francisco. We're in the streets, Fresno. We're in the streets supporting you. So don't think you're doing this alone.
I already know.
This is a unified effort that requires mass movement from everybody across the United States. So again, for the Oscar Grant family, we have to catch a plane. Otherwise, we'll be right here with you walking today. We love all of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Speak. Her hand is really, really cold. Some of our mothers can't stand being out here like this. One person I want to speak on, we have the mother of Jafford Smith, who is here today, and she would like me to speak on her behalf of Jafford. Jafford was shot 49 to 52 times by the St. Paul police, and the officer decided to move in her building where she lives. So we're going to be fighting soon to get him up out of there, because that's just inhumane for anybody to have to live through. But they shot and killed Jafford on Mother's Day. Okay, so that was her Mother's Day gift from the St. Paul Police Department to kill her son. Okay, and they went around with notes telling everybody what to say about what happened. And it wasn't true. They lied on him and said he shot someone, and I heard an audio that said no one was shot in his situation. So this is the mother of Jafford Smith. We will be celebrating for him. We will be raising him up next month, and we will be doing an event for Jafford Smith soon. As well as Demetrius here, his mother is here too, and she's going to speak today as well.
Everybody out here in solidarity. I'm just grateful to know that they gave Derek Chavis that 3 count, is when the day comes for sentencing, I hope they don't run it concurrent. He needs every charge ran consecutive. I feel for the mother of Derek White because I feel that Dante White's family needs justice. My son was killed 25 years ago, and I'm still fighting for justice. Even though it's been that many years, I believe the officer that's involved in my shooting, he's now head of records in the St. Paul Police Department. I am trying my best for him to step down and be investigated because he's been alternating records, and he had been involved in my son's murder. He wrote those words, and they all lies, and the media has put in lies in regarding my son. I'm having an event on April 28th. I am about to explode a little information on Victor and Joshua Lego. I think the world and the community, the media needs to know the truth about what happened, because the witnesses in there that I have talked to, the things that's been said is all lies. They put out information just to cover up the truth. My son was shot in the back in an apartment building at 1335 Westminster. He had 6 holes in his body. Now, for a person that's that young at 18, the gun down with his back turned, this officer was meaning to shoot my son, to kill him. He was in plain clothes. He was no good. He's known after he shot my son as a drunk. So I am going to be talking about him. So I'm hoping that everybody come and stand with me in unity that day, because I want the mothers to be there too, to be able to call these officers that's in their court. Their names need to be shouted out. Every officer that's involved in killing, we need to intimidate them like they intimidate us. It's no more being afraid. We should walk around like we in silence and afraid. See, that's why they're continuing killing. Kimberly Potter, she killed someone before. Now her time is up. Victor, he had been involved with another killing, and the mother that's involved with the guy that killed him, she wants to talk about what happened too, because I want you to know that some people are innocent. And when they go to jail and have to serve life, if you kill somebody, yes, you deserve life in prison. Thank you. My name is Marilyn Hill. Say Demetrius' name.
Demetrius Hill!
Say it out loud.
Demetrius Hill!
Say it again.
Demetrius Hill!
No justice.
No peace!
No justice.
No peace!
Send the police to jail just as well as they send us to jail. Thank you.
Get the cops!
Okay, now we're gonna have one last person, and I usually, because our platform is for our family. When I do events, it's for our family.
Right!
However, I am gonna have some families speak. They can speak when we stop during the march or when we come back around. But I want someone to speak right now that has been helping us with the legislation, because we have bills on the table. We have bills that we are fighting right now, and we're trying to get through the legislation. And this man, John McCollum, has worked closely with our families. He's been there with our families. And the bills that he wrote came out of the stories of our families. They're rooted in our stories. So he wrote the statute of limitation for wrongful death we wanted removed. That is rooted in our stories that ran out of time to file a wrongful death lawsuit against these departments. He also wrote a bill known as the Kobe Law to get the video tapes released within 48 hours to the families, because they hold on to videotapes and they don't want the footages to come out because they don't want the we wrote is we want the abolishment of qualified immunity. We want it gone. So, again, our platform is for our families, but however, because this man has worked so hard with our families, and he's been testifying on these bills, putting his life on the line, testifying for these bills. I'm going to have him speak, and then we're going to get started on our march, and we're going to let the rest of the family speak, and we're just going to have our boots on the ground. Boots! Shut this shit down! Boots! Boots! Boots are on the ground! We're here to shut this shit down! Thank you! Now we're gonna have John McConnell. Oh, and also he wrote a letter to the FBI and also to the United States Department of Justice. He wrote that letter, and they are now starting an investigation with the Minneapolis Police Department. We are fighting to get them to do an investigation to start with the Minneapolis and the St. Paul Police, because we know that the St. Paul Police is the most deadliest in the entire state of Minnesota. So if you guys can help us fight that more than just, because all these murders didn't just come from the Minneapolis Police. They came from all of these departments. But we're going to start with those two, and then we're going to go out to Brooklyn Center, and we're going to, because this place needs to be under federal investigation. Amen. So thank you, and here is John McConnell.
Thank you. So, my high of the week was the guilty verdict. But then I was reminded that that guilty verdict is a drop in the bucket of what the criminal justice system owes our community and our people. So, when we sit over here and we look at the people who showed up to the funerals, the politicians, I was at George Floyd's funeral, I was at Dante Wright's funeral, but they turn up. We are trying to get them to come to St. Paul because St. Paul is worse than Minneapolis. It really is. So we're working with the Department of Justice to get them also to come here to St. Paul and other surrounding communities. And as far as the legislation is concerned, 2 bills did not make it on the omnibus package. One of those bills was the qualified immunity bill. The second bill was the statute of limitations on wrongful death. The reason the statute of limitations, according to the Speaker of the Senate, Paul Gazelka, why the problem that they had with that bill is because there was a little provision in that bill that says that victims of sexual assault by police officers would be able to come forward. And that was the one piece, the one phrase that the GOP had a problem with. Someone say that ain't right. So we are demanding that the Minnesota legislature do their job and that they give these bills their due hearings and that they pass this legislation. It's long overdue and we want justice. These families need justice. There wouldn't have been a Dante Wright had this legislation been passed. There wouldn't have been a George Floyd had this legislation been passed. There wouldn't have been a Philando Castile had this legislation been passed. There wouldn't have been a Justin Tigan had this legislation been passed. So we have to do our part and hold these elected leaders accountable. We're in phase 1 of our operation. We'll be in phase 2 after the legislative session is done to start targeting the seats of these legislators. So I encourage you to do your part and vote these people out of office when the time comes. In addition to that, for people who want to see the letter that was sent to the Department of Justice, you can go to www.themjc.org under action, and you can see that action. And I would encourage everybody all over this country to send a letter to the Justice Department, to your congressional delegation, to the president, to your special agent in charge of your state, and ask for an investigation, just like was done here.
Okay, so the families, I appreciate you guys for being so patient, but the families are really requesting, because we barely get time to just speak and vent and just let out how we feel. I know that I organized a rally and a march, but I'm just going off of how the families are feeling, and they're fired up, and they just want to speak, you know? And so, we know that it can get a little lengthy. Yeah, listen, I know that it can get a little lengthy, and I understand all of that, but at the end of the day, it's about these families. That's right. And it's about centering their voices. That's right. And it's about the families actually having a chance to have a voice. That's right. You know? And so, I know that sometimes we got all these plans, but sometimes you just gotta go along with the go along. And these families want to vent. If you guys want to listen, we love you and we thank you for having a heart just to hear from us and listen. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to call up our next family.
Thank you so much. You all are just, I'm the mother of Naja Khan, Dallas Powell. I want you all to see that sign right there. That's my son. He was picked up from Hennepin County Hospital. He was in the psych unit. They took my child, and I want that. I can't help that. I want motherfucking justice! That's right! I want justice now! That's right! I'm gonna hold you all accountable, everybody! I don't care if you're in Minnesota, I don't care if you're in Australia. We all need to be saying, we want justice now. We want mental health justice. That's right. We want police justice for the murderers, the police, the murderers. We want justice for Hennepin Health Care, who called the police on my child instead of calling the mother. You called the mother. Why would you call the police on my baby? You should be. I got it.
Okay, you guys come back in like 2 minutes. I know that my sister just happened 9/11 of 2020. Please want to thank Be Their Voices to also been there for our family. And so accountability is a must. We must have accountability. It has to happen now. We can't keep waiting for more children. But to be silent, to be quiet, when you're hurting because an innocent person again is protected from my family, a good young man, also with a good future, but just having mental health issues. That does not warrant a death sentence. That's right. That's right, Auntie. So I ask you all to stay with us, follow Naja Khan and Dallas Powell, read his story. Mental health matters, Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, we all matter. Until we all feel it, until we all feel the pain, until we all feel the pain, we gotta all feel it. You should have to knock on your front door before this is over. So I want to say Black Power. I'm always first and foremost Black Power. Power to the people. Power to the people. Thank you.
Naja Powell, say it again. Naja Powell. Naja Powell.
Say his name.
Naja Powell.
Say his name. I had to start Be Their Voices organization. Because while we were out here fighting, talking about police, look at what's happening in the jails. We can't allow them to continue to treat our babies less than human. They're in there. Y'all heard her story, okay? Very different story. Her baby should be alive. Hardell was in there to pay his debt to society, but he should still be alive. They had no right to treat our babies the way they did. So if we don't get it, we shutting it down. telling these stories over and over and over again and still getting no justice. No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
Thank you.
So we're gonna let Ms. Kim do her new check real quick, and then we're gonna have Karen, the girlfriend of Travis Jordan. And like I said, we were going to do a march, but the Spirit is just telling me to let these families vent and let these families just get it out. And I don't want to rush them. I don't want to push them. I don't want to do any of that. I want to give them their time that they rightfully deserve and just let them say what they got to say today. So if you came here for a march, I apologize, but I got to let these moms and these families do what they got to do. Thank you. And so Ms. Kim is going to show us her new check.
Thank you. Real quick, she just told me she feel like giving up.
What?
But she's gonna run this race. But look, I'm gonna say to you, sister, don't give up and don't give in. Because we can win with Jesus. We can win. And I want you to know that. Be encouraged. Be encouraged. And people stop saying, I got your back. I told you all. When I'm under attack, be my back. I am your back. You ain't got nothing. Don't, like I keep saying, don't catch me when I fall. Catch me before the fall. You got my back, I ain't got to worry about falling. So if they don't get no justice, if we don't get no justice,
They don't get no peace.
if we don't get no justice,
They don't get no peace.
fuck well, but hold on. Let me tell you how. If we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace. If we don't get no justice, they don't get no sleep. If we don't get no justice, not one damn peep. Fuck 12. Ain't no sleep.
Thank you, Ms. Kim. So now we're going to have Taryn Bain, the girlfriend of Travis Jordan.
Thank you, Tajira. I am so inspired to be around all these mothers and loved ones of people of stolen lives. You guys all inspire me every day to keep fighting. My name is Taryn Bain. My boyfriend Travis Jordan was murdered November 9th, 2018 by the Minneapolis Police Department during a wellness check. He was having suicidal ideation, and there were two rookie cops, Neil Walsh and Ryan Kais, who came and murdered him instead of saving his life and giving him proper treatment in the hospital. You know, having a mental health crisis is not a crime.
That's right.
These police officers do not know how to de-escalate situations. They only escalate them. With only 9 months each on the force, I doubt they had the correct training for de-escalation. You know, I am in a pre-social work program, and I am learning about crisis intervention right now. And they did not use any of the steps that I have learned to save Travis's life. You are supposed to create space between yourself and the person in crisis. You are supposed to build rapport. You don't call him buddy. You call him by his name, Travis Jordan. You ask him what is wrong. He is having the worst day of his life. I called 311, not 911. There was no co-responder program in Minneapolis for North Minneapolis. It was only available in South Minneapolis.
That ain't right.
North Minneapolis is one of the most underserved communities in Minneapolis, and they do not have a co-responder program there. So there needs to be a co-responder program there in all of Hennepin County. In Ramsey County, there is a program, but I don't think there is even a co-responder program there anymore because of lack of funding. So we need there to be accountability for those that killed Travis Jordan as well as all these other people in Minneapolis that have been murdered by the police. No one on their lap, on the worst day of their life should be killed, should be murdered. And you know, there are bills that we're trying to pass when the traffic ordinance bill is also a part of the 9 that are trying to pass, we are trying to get passed. It has been now taken to the general register, and we need all the representatives to vote for that bill as well, and for it to move to the Senate, and for Warren Limmer to tell everyone else to pass that damn bill too. Before I leave, I just want to say, you know, Brooklyn Center for Dante, right? There have been 5 other people who have been murdered by Brooklyn Center, but no one is calling their names. No one is saying their names. So I want to say all of your names today. So say their names. Dante Wright.
Dante Wright.
Kobe David Heisler.
Kobe David Heisler.
Dontalo Wright.
Dontalo Wright.
Edmund D. Fair.
Edmund D. Fair.
Jonathan Marr.
Jonathan Marr.
And this one I might, I'm sorry if I mess it up. Sentanusai Kotagongsa.
Sentanusai Kotagongsa.
Sentanusai Kotagongsa.
Sentanusai Kotagongsa.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. When Black lives are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When Native lives are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When Asian lives are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
Thank you. Now, we're going to have one more set and we're going to have the father of the Lahi.
When I say I am
Somebody.
I am.
Somebody.
I want you to look to your neighbor, and I want you to say, when I say you are, I want you to say somebody. You are
Somebody.
You are
Somebody.
You are
Somebody.
You are
Somebody.
You are
Somebody.
You are.
Somebody.
Thank you.
Thank you, God. Thank you so much. Now we're going to have the father of the Lahi. Thank you.
Down daily.
Thank you, everybody. I'm so happy to see you every day when we have demonstration and against police brutality. My name is Bailey Gille. Well, mostly when I was grow up and born, my father told me always, a man never cry. A man will never cry. Why should I cry when today I'm too old? My dad told me, man never cry. The reason is it's lies. The police who was to kill my son. It is planning for nothing. So many times I was saying we have a warrant. As I say, the kind he had at that time, it wasn't his name. Who the fucking is the warrant? What do you want it? Because they wanted to kill motherfuckers my son. And there was my family, they said he shoot us. He did it was a police undercover in the car. They was kidnapped my town and they was making it hurt me. And I hope all of you that it hurt you too. All of this family who was lost, they were loved ones. We don't have justice in the United States. And we thought this is a democratic country. No, this is a war today in South Africa when apartheid was there. How many people the boys killing every day? They say 3. How many blood?
Two, if we have 1 million example for the black people, and they kill the police every day too, how long we gonna be finished? Soon. Come every day with you. How many a year? So, in Minnesota, it's a worst state in the United States. And I can say it's the worst state in the world. Because you can guess. What do you think, all of you, the guys who have a uniform, who kill your son or your daughter or your father or your brother, and you see that person every 56 days, standing there and have a uniform and they still have the power, and you cannot talk.
That ain't right.
Is that fair? No. Is that fair?
No.
No. Where is the justice? We say, United States, it is a large system Democrat and father of the Democrat or mother of the Democrat. Sorry if I say mother F. And now I cannot say a father F. Because the mother is the best. And the mother is the one who bring us, all of us, the world. We cannot live this today, any of us, if we don't have a mouth. And don't need to say without the word. I don't know why I was so about that. And I never say mouth. I gotta say, fuck it! So, there is a chance. When is the chance where I was saying, when you see a police who attack a live you with a son. You see every day, we have a uniform, and he look you like a screw face like this one. What are you gonna say? Where's the justice? In Minnesota, it is found by attacking a black or children. It's not the police who's killing us. It is the system. And what I want to tell you, this guy, when he needed a vote, he came and knocked our doors and smiled good. Fuck you! When he needed a vote, he was smiling good. I say, I will do that. I will do that. I gotta be a good. Where's the good?
Where's the good? Where?
Where's the good?
Where?
So, we need a justice.
No.
We need a justice.
Right.
And the justice we don't need was some justice, which is a blend. Minnesota, what they're using, we have democracy and we have justice and we are equal and rights. Where is all those? No, they have a blend. We are not a blend. We can see you, motherfucker. We can see you, you are lying us. And you will never get our vote anymore.
That's right.
We gotta choose some of us.
Yeah.
Who gonna listen us? He called me with Chaco Frank, a mayor of Minneapolis. He told me he was sorry for your loss. Fuck you, motherfucker, man. You was the one who was killed. All these people, they were overwhelmed, including my son. Next year, he need a vote. He gonna came and smile and have a suit and with a table like this, what I say, they'll give me the vote. No more.
No more.
No more.
No more.
No more.
No more.
So, my last sentence is, we are not the same 400 years back. 400 years back, we were tolerant and we have slavery and we have discrimination and killing of brothers and sisters, but no more. We are in decay. We know a right will never be a wrong, and wrong will never be a right. This guy, he's doing always wrong, and you don't want to get to see him. It's like unacceptable. We are human. The boys have children. They don't want to kill some of their children. Why they want to kill all kids? Why they want it? Why? We are for human, and we hear so many times for human rights. Where was some country will happen on some things? United States, they go to the thing and say that guy is doing something because he's not doing it just. Why you need to do it just in your own country and your own people? We hear human rights. We hear even animal rights. But we never hear, I said before, insect rights. If they would think we are insect, we are telling them we are not insect, we are human, and we are more educated and more wiser than you motherfucking mother system and the police brutality. What I want to tell, especially my sister, she was saying, I call her Winnie Mandela, the wife of Mandela, who was fighting so many years for the justice. And what I was saying, hey sister, we are the blacks of Somali. When you say Somali man, it's not say black man. We are the black. I'm not white, I'm not Asian, I'm not Native, I am African. And I'm proud by color. I am not racist, and I don't like who hate the colors. All the colors is the same, but I don't like the one who is my enemy. Who is that? The police.
That's right.
I don't care. Okay, who color he is. Okay, the enemy is the one who is killing you, even if your brother or your sister is your enemy and you hate that, right? I say, we don't need peace. We need justice, and we need equal and rights. No matter what color you are, we have to stick together and fight together. Fight for justice for all of you. I was sorry if I had to say a mother F, I will never say it. I say, Bobby F.
Hey, what's his name?
Bobby!
What's his name?
Bobby! Okay, now we're gonna have Tucson. He's gonna lead us in a song, and I want to tell you guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I know everybody gotta go, we got other things to do, and I understand. Thank you so much for standing out here listening to our families as we simply vent. This provides healing. Being able to tell your story, being able to say what you're feeling and what you're going through, and having people listen. For 11 years, I went around just trying to get people to listen to me, trying to get people to hear my story and believe my side of the story. So it means more than you guys will even know. It might seem like you're just standing somewhere or you're just listening to something, but it actually means more than you guys will ever know for a family to be able to stand up here and tell their truth, to tell their side of the story. So you being here today and simply listen, that seems so small, but it's actually more than you will ever know. And I thank you so much. Our families thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tisha. Appreciate everybody coming out and staying this long. You know, folks every week, you know, they may go to church, they may go to, you know, whatever they go to weekly. And I really feel like this community is starting to show up, not only weekly, but daily for these actions. And you really have to understand that you're changing and you're impacting things just by showing up. Just by continuing to show up, you're impacting the way that your community looks. And you're transforming the way that you're going to be going forward. And what you saw in the past week is you saw Tim Walz, who will show up to the funeral, but he won't show up to the action to prevent that funeral. You see what I'm saying? Tim Walz will show up to the funeral for the murdered black boy who he wouldn't show up to the action for it to prevent that from happening. Do you see what I'm saying? And there's something to that. He wants to show up to the funeral to show you, and it's called performative. It's called performative caring, performative justice. And it's to pacify you, to make you think that he does care, to make you think that he's going to be there. He'll show up to the funeral, but not show up to the action to prevent that funeral. Mayor Fry will live in a house that he would never fight for somebody else to live in. Do you see what I'm saying? These folks will fight for their jobs and their money, but they will not fight for the people. When I first came out here, I saw Tim Walz come out and talk to Del Shia. And he just talked out the side of his mouth and then he left. Just real quick. No contrition, no empathy, no nothing. He just came out and then just left. And that was it. And that was it. Amy Klobuchar will show up to the funeral and say, a boy getting pulled over shouldn't result in getting shot. But she won't say, just by breathing and being black, shouldn't result in you spending 18 years in prison. And by the way, Amy was responsible for that. She locked up Maya Burrell for 18 years. For no damn reason. And they didn't do the work until Lakima and Eliza showed up to one of her press conferences, and she wouldn't come out in front of everybody and talk to them. Why she still has a job, I don't know. Why she was allowed to speak at that funeral, I don't know. I don't know why they were there. Because Amy will show up to the funeral, but she ain't going to show up to the action to prevent that funeral. Matter of fact, she'll show up to make sure that a black boy goes to jail or prison before she'll show up to an action to prevent him from going to prison or to the grave. We got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of work to do going forward. 40% of Brooklyn Center's budget goes to policing. That's 22 unsworn officers and 49 full-time officers. And not a single one of them lives in Brooklyn Center. So let me tell you something. 40% of Brooklyn Center's budget goes to cops that don't live in Brooklyn Center. 40% of Brooklyn Center's budget goes to a group of people that killed Dante Wright. Think about that. And then last week, on Friday, when we said military's out here, they're doing this and that, people said, hey, cut the scare tactics out. And then when the sun rose the next morning, they said, I'm so sorry, I just heard about the 100 folks that got arrested. People don't understand that you're living in a police state right now, and it's because this man called it. And when right-wing protesters showed up here, and Tim Walz wanted to cry for help and say, oh, I had to evacuate my 14-year-old son out of here. How the hell do you think black families feel when cops parading around from Lakeville, coming from racist sundown towns to their neighborhoods all the time? Tim got a little taste, and he didn't like it. And he went on TV and started crying about it. And good, I hope he knows how we feel. I hope he gets the experience. Because the black experience for us is a lifetime. He may have just had it for 90 minutes. And that was with a whole bunch of racist folks outside of his house. He had to move his son out. Tim doesn't represent you. And I got news for you, and I don't know if it's good or bad, but I'm just going to tell you, I don't know if we got justice. Because I believe justice is living in a world where Dante Wright is still alive. I believe justice is living in a world where all these people are still alive. I believe justice is living in a world where Kim Potter understands cognitive dissonance at the age of 5. I believe justice is living in a world where Derek Chauvin is not a serial killer. If you look at his track record, go to Communities United Against Police Brutality, it reads longer than your laundry list. And Mayor Fry ensured that he still had a job. Justice is holding those people accountable before our black brothers end up into the grave. In this country, black men are 2.5 times more likely to be killed by cops than white men. But the kicker is, black men are 2.5 times less likely to be armed than those white men when they're killed. So that tells you, unarmed black men are being killed by cops more more than armed white men. Now, I don't like any of those numbers, but that's the reality. And that's the world that you have to change. That's the thing that you have to change. And it ain't just about black men. Although we're by far predated upon by cops statistically higher than anybody else. But this is about everybody. This is about Asian lives. It's about trans lives. About non-binary folks, about our brothers and sisters, Somali lives, Muslim lives. All the people that are affected by police brutality, Native lives. We need to change the world going forward so we live in a world that already has justice. So that we live in a world that already has justice. So today, I'm wearing my grandfather's jacket. His name was Lauren Van Dusen, and they called him Doc because he was real good at music theory, and he played the trombone, and he played in the band before they had synthesizers and fake music at the Twins games and the Vikings games. He'd be on the parade, the big Vikings parade. So I know that my grandfather, he didn't really, I don't think he expected, he was an old white man, and I don't really think he expected, a young brown kid running around his living room and teaching trombone to him, teaching trombone to me, but he did it with grace, and I loved him for it. And I know y'all had grandparents as well. And they may not have expected y'all to be here right now. And maybe they stood on the edge of a dime knowing that you would be here right now. But the whole point is that you have people that came before you to ensure that you were here right now. And maybe they may have done some things in the past that you're standing against and you want to change for the future that you're going to lead to. And they won't have to come out here. They won't have to stand in solidarity and demand that somebody they paid 6 digits to does their damn job. So I want you to just think about the folks that are watching you right now that aren't here right now. Even these folks right here that have these posters with the names on them. I believe that they're watching us. I believe that they're watching us, and I believe that the people before them are watching us as well. So I want you to just join in on a song here that we sing, and we'll kind of elevate with it, we'll go down with it, and then we'll wrap it up. And as I always say, you can be off key, but you can't be off beat, okay? Be off key, but you can't be off beat. All right,
That sounds like
and just sing along with me. Ancestors watching, I know they're watching. Ancestors watching, I know. Ancestors watching, I know they're watching. Ancestors watching, I know. Ancestors watching, I know they're watching. Ancestors watching, I know. A little louder. Ancestors watching, I know they're watching. I know you may have lost somebody. Keep on. I know. Ancestors watching. But they're watching you right now. They're watching where you're standing right now and what you're standing for right now. Keep on. Come on. Ancestors. They're watching you right now, and they are with you right now. They're with us right now, wanting you to continue doing the work. A little louder. Ancestors watching, I know they're watching. Ancestors watching, I know. Ancestors watching, I know they're watching. Last time as loud as you can so his ancestors can hear it. Come on. Ancestors watching, I know they're watching. Ancestors watching, I know. One more time. Ancestors watching, I know they're watching. Ancestors watching, I know. All power to the people.
Racially motivated murders. So we have the family of Emma Till here today. And she's going to come up and just speak to us. But it is through our history that we have to acknowledge our history to even go forward. And honestly, it's too late to go forward. It's too much damage and too much hurt and too much pain that has been inflicted on our community. Until that is addressed, it is no moving forward. And that is what I try to explain to Governor Watts, and I try to explain to these legislators that you have to address the grievances and the pain and the hurt that's already been inflicted upon people before you can try to move forward. So we have here today Emmett Till's cousin, Deborah Watts. Please greet her. Thank you.
Okay. Please repeat after me. And if you believe this, hold your Christian again. The past is not past until justice prevails.
Until justice prevails.
The past is not past until justice prevails.
Until justice prevails.
Thank you. Emmett Till was murdered in 1955. I stand here today in solidarity with the families because they didn't get justice and Emmett has not received justice either. We are still holding out for the last accomplice, Carolyn Bryant Johnham, who has not ever been charged, who lied on Emmett and caused Emmett to be lynched. He was shot in the head, beaten, lynched, with a 75-pound cotton gin fan tied around his neck with barbed wire and thrown in the Tallahatchie River in Mississippi. That wasn't a mistake. Mississippi. But this is Mississippi as far as I'm concerned because the past is not past until justice prevails. We don't want to repeat it. We don't want 66 more years. We don't want any more families standing here holding pictures of their past loved ones. Okay? We just don't want that to happen. And so our leadership in this country, and I know Governor Walz, I know most of the leadership. I ran for Congress in 2004. Okay? And so I understand how politics work. It's not working right now. Our leadership is not working right now. Too many people are dying. How many in Minnesota? 470. And probably more. So I'm not going to take any more of your time, but I just want to say that for you standing here with these families and us, it means the world to me. And I think you should know that. Look at yourselves. Take a selfie of yourselves being here. This is history in the making. And tomorrow is going to be different. Because guess what? You're going to take a step forward towards the future. I want you to take one step forward towards these families and let them know within your loudest voice that you're with them and you're going to stand with them. All you got to do is take one step forward. Take one step forward. Come on. One step. And what are you going to say? We are with you. We are going to stand with you. And as Kimberly says, we're going to put our boots on the ground, right? And we're going to march with you, and we're going to demand justice for you. That's right. Because it takes a lot. These families have held themselves together with grace and dignity. They have carried their grief in their hearts and in their voices and in their tears. So continue. If you've got faith, pray with them.
Say that, Deborah.
If you've got a voice, shout with them. Come on. If you've got money, support their initiative. If you've got time, give it to them. If you can stand in unity as you are today, do that for them. Thank you very much, and justice for Emmett Till. The past is not past until justice is
Thank you. I appreciate you, Deborah. And we're going to have, where is Chantel? Oh, she over there talking. I just love the way Chantel Allen says that, I love the way she says the silent speech. I know we're supposed to do it at the end, but the spirit was just telling me to do it right now. Is it this time? Okay. I don't know what she thinks she can show us to these events that I don't ask her to say the song speech. But I'll be smarter. I'll be catching up like that's gonna run here. So Chantel Allen is gonna lead us with a some speech, but we also have Muhammad from Cares, Minnesota. He's a very strong fighter with the families, and also Mel Reeves. So you guys can just hold on a little bit longer, but the Spirit was telling me, we usually do it at the end, but the Spirit was telling me to do it right now.
Hey, where's Isaiah? Y'all see Isaiah, the little Marshall dude, running around with a vest, stopping traffic and stuff. Y'all know what I'm talking about? If you got your eyes on him, tell him he is needed up front right now. Right now. Yeah, run, brother, run. So the goal is to keep passing this down to the next generation. Right? So I can't do this for the rest of my life. I got hit with tear gas almost 10 days ago and I still can't breathe. Hey, everybody give it up for Isaiah. So Isaiah is Miss Handy's son. So his brother, he's been affected by this. His brother was murdered by the St. Paul Police Department, Cornell Handy. So say his name. Cornell Handy. Say his name. Cornell Handy. So I know y'all think, I got a little rough in me when I say it, right? I do, because I've been fighting for a long time. But I'm telling you, when you start breeding these young ones, and the ones that have been affected by this for real, in about 5 years maybe, not even 5 years, you're about to hear it right now, but in 5 years, you're going to hear them for real rough. And it's going to be a rock that the system cannot resist. They're going to hear that roar and they're going to say, you know what, we have to change things. What's he talking about, right? So I want to encourage all of y'all older folks, 35 and up, to start breeding at least 5. At least 5 to do what you do in the organizing world. Because everybody here serves a purpose in this movement. That's right. The people that are up front motivating y'all, the ones who are making phone calls, people who are organizing marshals, there's people who are making connections to other organizations. Y'all know, right? Right? Start breeding at least 5 to do what you do in the movement, even if it's just standing with a sign. Y'all with me? Yes. All right. So Isaiah's going to do this for me today. And I'm going to follow.
Repeat after me. We have a duty to fight for our freedom.
We have a duty to fight for our freedom.
We have a duty to win.
We have a duty to win.
We must love and support one another.
We must love and support one another.
Because we have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have a duty to fight for our freedom.
We have a duty to fight for our freedom.
We have a duty to win.
We have a duty to win.
We must love and support one another.
We must love and support one another.
Because we have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have a duty to fight for our freedom.
We have a duty to fight for our freedom.
We have a duty to win.
We have a duty to win.
We must love and support one another.
We must love and support one another.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
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 Power to the people, y'all.
Power to the people.
Salam means peace. My name is Mohammed Ibrahim, and I'm with Care Minnesota. And I'm going to keep it really brief. And I want to say that I saw an article come out this morning, and this is a testament when we say that the whole system is guilty. Truly, we mean the entire system. So there's if you all were following the Derek Chauvin trial, there was a doctor who the defense brought up, named Dr. Fowler, who said that George Floyd did not die because of the knee, but he died because of undisclosed reasons, and that reason was undetermined. Now, that doctor actually represents a lot of cases, and he's a medical examiner in Maryland. And today, news came out that all the cases that touched his fingertips were going to be reopened. And when I truly say that the whole system is guilty, I truly mean the entire system. If you all remember with Derek Chauvin, when he killed and he murdered, and what we consider to be literally lynching, when he lynched Derek Chauvin, Derek Chauvin lynched George Floyd, the first thing that came out was, in the police report, they lied and they said that George Floyd died from an undisclosed medical reason, right? And we're talking about an incident that was filmed on camera. Now imagine for all the families that had their loved ones murdered and lynched that were not recorded, right? Imagine the lies that they would be spewing, right? And it was the people that came out and they demanded the justice, and now we're the exact same people take the streets to make sure that all of these families get the justice that they deserve, right? And I also want to include that it was the same man, Governor Walz, that was on the stage, standing, talking about a proclamation of at 12 o'clock for a moment of silence for Dante Wright's family, right? And then that was that same man that was ordering for us to get tear gassed, and was throwing munitions on us. Right?
Somebody say that ain't right.
Somebody say that ain't right. That ain't right. And then now he wants to talk about, oh yeah, we're gonna fight for the families. You never fought for the family. Never ever fought for the family. And I also want to mention that the families have really been fighting to put together two pieces of legislation. There's a lot of legislation out there, but particularly ending the qualified immunity and specifically ending the statute of limitations so that the families don't have the time limit for them to come out here and grieve and then have to learn how to fight and then go out and fight for themselves and for their loved ones, right? And those two bills are currently got removed from the public safety omnibus, right? And now there are standalone bills. But this whole time we were working with legislators, letting them know that these bills are really, really critical and they're really, really important for the families' fight. And now there are standalone bills where we're negotiating with Republicans who did not want to condemn white supremacy, who wanted to make sure that white supremacy was still within our police forces, and they said that there was a bill that was brought forth that said that if you are affiliated with any white supremacy groups, that your license will be revoked and you will not have the ability to become a licensed police officer in the state of Minnesota. We're not talking about the 60s, we're not talking about the 40s, we're talking about 2021. And it was a party line vote, and they said that it's unconstitutional for us to have something like that in place. Right? We're talking about Minnesota. Right? So, we have policies that the families really need that are being hand-selected and removed from the public safety omnibus and other omnibuses. Right? So that now, when we are approaching this election cycle, and specifically in 2021, we need all of you to make sure that the politicians that you're putting in office did not receive donations from police officers. Right? We have to make sure that those politicians that actually stand with the families. So before you vote, come check with the families and see who's actually been in their way of making sure that we get policies, because we do not want sympathies. We heard sorry way too many times, right? And on the last thing I want to say that a part of the problem is also these county prosecutors that refuse to bring forth charges, right? Specifically with the case of Glenn, right? The police officers that came and they killed Glenn in the middle of that gas station. Now Backstrom took that case and he retired 2 months later, right? And Backstrom is known for burying cases. We have the same thing with Pete Orpin and all of these other Sangamon County prosecutors and Washington County prosecutors and Ramsey County prosecutors and so on and so forth, right? And we really need to remove these county prosecutors from bringing charges, and we need to have independent prosecutors bringing forth charges. And I want to ask these law schools to come out and do a study to figure out of all the cases that did not bring charges, if that was appropriate, and we demand for the Department of Justice to come out and reopen everybody's case. We need all of the cases to be open. If we don't get that, We're going to be out here, and we'll make sure that we shut it down. Thank you so much.
If you guys want to merge after this, I know we didn't lay it on y'all today, but we got one last person. Mel, please keep it brief because we didn't went a long time. Oh, so John really wants me to talk about what happened with Mayor Carter the other day. So what had happened was Melvin Carter, we've been reaching out to him, our families, because I have a lot of families within families supporting families against police violence that lost their loved ones in the city of St. Paul, including myself. Justin Tanya was murdered in St. Paul. And so I've been reaching out to him for a very long time now to try to get a meeting with him and our families, just like I do for the governor and all the rest of them. They need to sit down and meet with our families and have a conversation. Well, Mayor Carter has been one of the most insulting out of everybody. And it's so sad because for some reason he thinks his position, he's different from the rest of us and they won't shoot his ass too. But he's been running away from us. Exactly. He's been running away from us for a long time. And so I happened to be at a meeting the other day, me and Miss Delshia Perry. The NAACP had invited us to come eat and all this stuff. Well, here comes Melvin Carter. I was getting my purse because I was ready to go because I don't hold space with people like that. If they're not for the people, and our families have been reaching out to you, and you won't even reach out to the hurting community, and you represent a city where we lost our loved ones, I'm not about to sit here and play this fake game with you. So I got to get my stuff and I got to go. So he was sitting there, and I had already spoke. Ms. Delshia had spoke, and someone said to him, "Oh, Mayor Carter, do you know these families?" He's like, "Yeah." He's trying to act like he's been working with us. You know, he's been doing his thing as a human being. We're not talking about titles. We talk about as a human being. Okay? So he tries to do that, and I say, you know, I got to get my purse. I got to go. And Soren, a young man who was shot in the eye by the Minneapolis police while he was peacefully protesting for George Floyd, they shot his eyeball out with a rubber bullet and shattered his whole cheekbone. He happened to be there with us, and he said, "No, Tashira, don't leave. Tell him how you feel." And I said, "Right here, right now?" And he said, "Yeah, tell him how you feel." And I said, "You know what? You're goddamn right." And I sat my purse down on the table, and I said to him, I said, "Mayor Carter, don't sit here in front of these people and act like you have been supportive of our families. We lost our loved ones in a city in which you represent, and you have ignored our families. You have ran from our families, and all we wanted was a simple conversation. What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of the truth of what this city has done to our families? We should be asking for way more than what we're asking for, and all we asked for was a conversation, and you couldn't have enough humanity to give us that? I have never seen so much lack of integrity in the leadership in my life. The lack of integrity is inhumane. As a human being, I'm not talking about titles, because before I called Melvin Carter, I had a conversation with Todd Axtell. And I told him, this is not about your position. Sometimes in life you have to put your position aside and think about a human being. You have to be a human being, because before you got that title, before you put that badge on, before you put that suit on, you are a human being. Before you walk into that office, you're a human being. But see, man gives us positions and then God gives us positions. And every last one of us out here, God has gave us a position. We must walk in our authority. We must guys, and that please help us hold these elected officials accountable and be people of integrity.
Thank you.
Okay.
So Tashira's killing me because she done said everything needs to be said, right? And she keeps telling me to keep it short, not time, but she's been about 4 minutes, right? But she's right because y'all gonna listen to her. She tells me to keep it short, I'm gonna keep it short. And the reason they have me go last is because my job is to kind of reiterate what they've already said on some of them. So I want to send you home inspired if I can do that. I want you all to give these sisters and brothers a hand. And give Tashira a hand. What we have listened to is a lot of pain, y'all. We've heard a lot of pain, deep-going pain and grief. These folks are hurting. And they're hurting because of the system. And Tashira's right. Ultimately, our job is to be human beings, right? And we have a society that works against us being human beings. In fact, it works against us if you got any color in your skin, if you're a different sex, if you have a different persuasion, you have a different sexual orientation, if you come from someplace else, it works to try to divide us all, right? So yes, there's a trick involved here. And they use their police to reinforce all those prejudices and stereotypes, right? It's not about good cops and bad cops, brown cops and black cops, female cops and gay cops. It's about the system of policing. You clap to that. Oh yeah! That is our problem. That's why all these systems are gathered here. And the whole damn system is corrupt. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. As the brother just pointed out, from the lawyers, that's right, the prosecutor's office, to the police, to the jailhouse, even to their hospitals. Even their medical people are corrupt. The whole corrupt system. And people look at me crazy when I say all the time that there's something wrong, that this system is a low-down, filthy, rotten system. Of course it is. What else but a low-down, filthy, rotten system would have a police force that does what it does to our people? Right? Nothing but a low-down, dirty, rotten police force. Right? And so what you got to do, never ever forget, I'm going to mess up this quote, but never forget what a small group of people can accomplish. Right? They're the only folks who change the world. And I just messed that thing up, but y'all get it. Right? But you get my point. You look around, it doesn't seem like there's that many of us. But if you keep coming out, we'll grow. If you keep coming out, we'll grow. There'll be more of us. And you keep coming out, we'll grow, and after a while, there'll be more of us that want to live in a society of human beings than those folks who don't want to act like human beings. You follow me? If you keep fighting, you know where I'm going with this one. If you keep fighting, we'll grow. If you keep fighting, you'll grow. And I want people to ask, well, when you went to the rally, what was it about? I want you to be clear what we demanded here today. This is part of a national action, right? We want all the killer cops to wind up in cell blocks. We want killer cops to wind up where? In cell blocks. We also want, this is very important, we want all the cases to be reopened. All right? We want all the cases to be reopened. Did I say some of the cases? Did I say a few of the cases? Did I say the cases from a few years ago? Did I say a few cases? No, all the cases. We want to reopen what? All the cases. All the cases. And our other demand, there's a lot of confusion about what needs to happen. You know, we talk about defunding the police, we talk about holding the police. You can't, you know, it sounds good to try to hold the police accountable, and we got to try to do that. But you got to always keep in mind, they're not our police, right? So we got to change the system so we can have a police system that treats us like human beings. It's not complicated. So our third demand is that we end the system of policing as we know it, right? That's right. End the system of policing as we know it. And so every time these sisters call you out, you got to come. Every time, not sometimes. I know it gets cold out here, sometimes it'll be hot, but you got to come. If they can come out here, then surely we can, right? We can support them. We keep coming and fight with them. We will win eventually. You know we will, right? Because you know what I like to say? If you don't fight, you got no chance to win. You got no chance to win, right? You ain't got a chance in hell to win if you don't fight. But if you fight, you can win. 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 If we fight, we 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 can win. All right, all right.
gotta get it out. We holding so much in. We holding so much on our shoulders. And we go places sometimes and we don't get a chance to just let it out. So I'm glad that you guys allowed us today. We left with not that many people that we started with, but we grateful because the people that just, we so grateful. We just so grateful for you guys. Thank you so much. Is there anything that any moms or anybody else want to say?
I just want to thank everybody, and remember, my bench coming out for Justice for Demetrius Hill. April 28th, we're going to be meeting at 390 East Maryland Street. We're going to start the march off down to our actually building that he got killed in. And if you don't know it, back then, 25 years ago, this building was Westminster Apartments. For some reason, they named the building Rolling Hills.
Wow. And we about to go over there and stomp on the hills. They're going to be rolling hills, all right.
We about to have some heads and asses rolling off that hill. How about that? But community, again, we love you all. And another thing, we can't fight and look defeated. Keep looking like winners. Because together we all win. And we have the ability to put a face on what Minnesota could really look like. But it's going to take us, the people, a collective all, to push that through. God bless you. I love you.